Hello and a very warm welcome to all. You're watching Hindustan Times and my name is Aisha Varma. Some of Europe's most important rivers are looking a lot different than usual. Water levels on the Rhine, the Po and parts of the Danube have fallen sharply, creating challenges for shipping, agriculture and industry. And as the summer goes on, the situation is becoming more severe, with water levels continuing to drop in some areas. It's also raising bigger questions about drought and Europe's changing climate. For more on this, let's cross over to Thomas Sparrow, correspondent with our partner ZW in Berlin. Thomas, what are you seeing there and how unusual are these low water levels?
It is quite extraordinary what we're seeing here in some of Europe's biggest and most important rivers. Just imagine the Rhine, which is Germany's longest, one of Germany's most important rivers. And in parts of that, cargo ships can no longer transit and people can go from one side of the river to the next in parts where you would otherwise have a lot of water. So it's obviously a matter that is causing a lot of concern. And it's not only the Rhine, it's also the Danube, another very significant river in Europe. It's the Po in Italy. So rivers that normally play a very significant role in Europe's economies, also in the ecosystems, are now being affected by these very long, dry summers. It is something that is a matter of concern, obviously, for people who deal with the ecology, who deal with ecosystems, but also who deal with the economy, because having rivers that are running dry, where the water levels are not what they're supposed to be, that has a major impact on the economy in this part of the world. So what you're seeing is certainly a situation that is a matter of concern. Experts, however, have stressed that this is not something definitely unusual. It is something that European leaders and European populations should actually start to get used to, because Europe is seeing drier and drier summers. Europe is seeing seasons that are more intense, that are lasting longer, that are starting earlier. So having dry rivers is something that European authorities will have to deal with also in the medium to long term.
Who's feeling the impact most right now?
Obviously, the ecosystems, underwater ecosystems, are particularly affected. Farmers as well that are affected by the drought, by this very dry summer in parts of Europe, including obviously Germany. Then the different companies that normally transport their goods, their raw materials, for example, via these very important waterways. We're talking here about oil, about other materials as well. So they are particularly affected. They have had to shift some of their transport to road transport or rail freight transport as well. And that's why there have been meetings also with authorities to help that transition, let's say, from the waterways to other transportation methods. And then there's the potential economic impact, because important organizations here in Germany have stressed that if this is something that lasts a long time, if the major waterways are dry for a lengthy period, then that will have a very significant impact on the German economy, a German economy that, by the way, is already under stress, that hasn't grown a lot in the last few years, that is affected also in terms of infrastructure, in terms of productivity. So it is not good news for economists. It's not good news also for the German government as they try to improve Germany's economy.
How are authorities dealing with the situation?
Especially with a mixture of immediate measures and also medium to long-term measures. The immediate measures are trying to help the communities that are mostly affected, also the organizations that are mostly affected. So if you are talking about these shipping companies, the authorities working with these shipping companies to ensure that they can transport their goods. As I stressed, these waterways are particularly important, not only in Germany, but also to connect different European countries. So when we're looking at the Rhine, when we're looking at the Danube, they are not only significant for one country, but for several countries. And as such, this is turning into a European-wide phenomenon, which also requires European-wide answers. And this is why also experts are stressing that this is something that has to be focused on for a medium to long-term approach. So also thinking about building ships that could navigate through lower waters. So that could be also possible when there is a drought or a very dry season, also making some of the riverbeds deeper. This is something that is very controversial from an economic perspective, also from an ecological perspective. And then there's the discussion about obviously prevention and making sure that communities can be more resilient when these kinds of situations come. It's not an easy challenge. It's not an easy phenomenon, but it's one that, at least from a European perspective, needs to be tackled now and needs to be tackled also in the coming years.
All right, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. With that, it's a wrap. Do stay tuned.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.